Welcome to another edition of Straight Talk with Joe Vollano. Thank you for joining us tonight. It's been a beautiful day out there. I hope you got an opportunity to go outside it and enjoy it. But it is a pleasure and an honor to be here again tonight. So for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Joe Vollano, and I am your guide on this tour we call Politics and News and the Craziness in the World. So Facebook is open, YouTube is open. I have a new mic again, my third one, but we have some exciting news. We're gonna be going portable. So we're gonna be remote. We're gonna be doing some interviews outside the Filler Up studio here, and we have a lot of other things we're gonna be doing, which I will be talking about at the end of the show. But as always, if you like to join the program, you can call in 203-679-9610, or you can email us at straighttalkjv@gmail.com. Or as always, throw your comments in on the Facebook feed, on the YouTube feed, and as you know, if you've been here previously, we go through them back and forth. Throw your comments around. I thank you guys because I got a lot of emails and a lot of comments this week on some of the things we talked about on Thursday. And I always tell you, my goal is to get you guys to think, to get you out there making decisions on your own on what you hear here and go do your research. And one I got was from Fred, was a news story about how we talked about Black Lives Matter founder had bought 5 houses with, and he took it as I meant with direct donations. And the donations were sent to BLM, and her salary comes from there. And that's how she's able to afford it. So those are donations, just not a direct. So just to clarify that, so in case there was any misinterpretation of that last week, there you are. So again, I want to hear from you guys. I get more excited when I hear from you, and I hear from you guys throughout the week. I want to hear from you during the show. So we can have an honest discussion. 203-679-9610 or straighttalkjv at gmail.com. But let's dive right in. We have a lot to talk about today. And we're going to talk about 2 things. One, we're going to talk about media bias. And that's in direct relations to Project Veritas, which James O'Keefe did on CNN. And the CNN directors and media correspondents were openly talking about how anti-Trump they are. And I won't say were, they still are. They still hate Trump as much as they did back when the election was going on. So we're going to hear a couple of clips. So I'm not going to take too much time on it because I think the more important thing we have to talk about tonight is the super inflation that's coming our way. And I want to make sure I go into detail into some of the graphs I'm going to show you guys tonight. So, but I just can't gloss over the things that were found out about CNN, which, again, was nothing we didn't know about. We already knew that CNN was in the bag for Joe Biden. But I think some of the things we didn't know was just how bad they were in the bag for Joe Biden, to the point that they were things that the Biden campaign weren't dealing with or handling. CNN took it upon themselves to make sure they went out and put that stuff out there. And you're going to hear straight from the directors, the president of CNN. So all these things you're going to hear directly from them on what they're feeling and what they were doing back then. So, listen, is all media bias? Yes. Some are just more blatantly about it. Let's say Fox News, prime example. We all know Fox News leans right. They're from about 5 o'clock on is mostly right wing, other than Brett Baier at 6 o'clock. Now the thing with CNN is, CNN says no, they're just journalists all the way through, and there is no opinionated. And that's absolutely false. So you're either going to be straightforward with the people or not. And if you're not, then this is the kind of stuff that happens. So what you're going to hear, first one off is, again, the president of CNN. Now, let's just keep in mind that in the recent Gallup poll, only 14% of Americans have faith in the media. Now, that's a scary thought, because the American people should have faith in the media, because the media was designed, there's a freedom of press in this country for a reason, because the press is supposed to be the ones that hold the government accountable. Freedom of press was meant to hold those in power accountable for their actions. But that doesn't happen now. Now they're in bed with each other. With each other. And, you know, it's already bad enough. We can't trust Washington, D.C. We can't trust Hartford. But now we can't trust the media either. So what is one to do? That's the question. That's the ultimate question. What is one to do? Because not everyone has all the time to go and research everything. You know, you can hear from one source, but if you don't hear, you know, then you have to go look at 2 or 3 other sources to see if they're matching up. So if they're going to be biased, just say it. Just say, hey, we're going to lean left or we're going to lean right. At least then we all know. But don't sit there and try to say you're objective and then pull crap like this. So let's pull the first clip here. And here we go.
In Washington, D.C. Bureau.
But Jeff Zucker,
Yeah.
basically president of CNN, has a personal vendetta against Trump. It's not going to be positive for Trump. He hates him. He's going to be negative.
I decided to wear a hidden camera.
Media created this monster.
Now that's very true. That's very true. The media did create this monster. Or their so-called monster. When Trump came down that golden escalator, every news media covered it. And from there forth, Trump knows how to use the media. Trump knew how to get a reaction out of them, which is why they covered him. It wasn't really because they loved him or they hated him. But at the end of the day, he started making them cover him for things, anything he wanted. He was playing offense. Media was always on defense. And again, you're going to hear that in a couple clips ahead. They were always on defense. And every time they tried to go on offense, Trump would slap them down. And Trump would call them out. That's where fake news came from. So, just keep that in mind. That, again, he is correct. The media did create this so-called monster. But let's continue with the clip here.
He created this monster, and I'm getting him full play every single day. The media created the Trump movie.
I decided to secretly record the 9 a.m. rundown call meetings, and it's basically run by Jeff Zucker.
So the 9 a.m. rundown call was with all the bigwigs from CNN. All the bigwigs from CNN were on this call. And that's where they went through their daily routine, their daily schedule of what was going to be talked about for the day. And everything you're going to hear was anti-Trump this, anti-Trump that. And the one thing they wanted to push, and they made sure they pushed, this is one thing Jeff wanted. Jeff Zucker is the president of CNN, the most trusted source in news, so-called. That's what they love to say, tell themselves. But here is a part of the call.
Guns will be the central topic in the 2020 Democratic nomination race today. The Giffords PAC has paired up with MSNBC. They've got a gun town hall in Las Vegas. 10 candidates will be showing up there throughout the day. I don't care about the MSNBC event. Okay, I don't care about them. Let's just stay very focused on impeachment.
So he doesn't care about anything else that's going on. He wants just impeachment talked about. So he doesn't care about anything else other than having impeachment talked about. That's it. That's all he cares about. They don't care about gun control that was being talked about in Las Vegas. They don't want to talk about anything. Everything that leads is the Trump impeachment. Here's the rest of it.
Everything that happened today. Because look, you're going to be coming on at 3 o'clock. Trump is at 2. Well, all the president's men are part of the cover-up.
The impeachment stuff, there's new developments every day. More shoes drop, and it's like there's just nothing we can do. If Zucker wants impeachment every single day to be the top story,
That's what he wants.
Yeah, he wants impeachment. So
Above all else, I'm assuming.
above all else.
You know, I totally.
So above all else, we are going to talk about impeachment. Because Zucker has a personal vendetta against the president, or the candidate Trump at the time. So again, that's fine. If you want to have a personal vendetta against somebody, that's fine. I have no problem with that. You don't like them, you want to sit there and criticize them, go for it. Knock yourself out. Doesn't matter. But just don't sit there and try to do it under a disguise of objectivity. Just don't do it, because that doesn't make any sense. Because then when you get things like this, therefore your integrity and your character is just gone. And then what do you have left? That's why it's so important that we have journalists who tell us the news. And that's it. They can leave their opinions for later on in the evening. Just tell us you're leaning one way or another. But again, I don't want to spend too much time on this. So I just want to show you this last clip, because this is the one that really irritated me, because again, they're not only trying to bash Trump, but they're also trying to protect Biden and actually run his campaign for him, because they feel he's not doing enough in a certain area. So they're going to do it for him. And that's what this clip is here.
Hey, Jeff, it's Cynthia. I think that the dive into how Trump has used the communism, socialism rhetoric as part of his hook for the Cubans in Miami, how that has resonated, and how the Biden team has not done enough to counter that. This is all that the only reason they are supporting Trump is because of that narrative. And that narrative and the fact that, sadly, I have to say, there's a population that is very attracted to bullies. And I just think that we have a deeper dive to talk about that. And I think, there's a stark contrast that they're not doing enough in Central Florida, where the Puerto Ricans have a very different take on Donald Trump, and where there is a large community of other nationalities that are on the fence. But as long as they keep pushing that narrative and no one is countering it properly in Florida, the Cubans are going to vote for Trump. And that's terrifying.
So she's afraid that this not being countered. The Biden campaign is not doing their job. So we should do it for them. This is supposed to be a nonpartisan organization that's supposed to tell you the news. And what they're telling you on this call is that we're going to create the news. And we're going to do the job that we think they're not doing. Because we need him to win. Because you heard her. Oh, it's scary that these people are going to vote for Trump. It's scary. So here's what they're going to do.
And who's your secret weapon?
I think you have several. I think you have voices that we haven't shown. We have Emilio Estefan, who has come out publicly to say that he is going to vote for Biden. There are several important personalities that do have weight that are saying, don't go that route. And those, by the way, those were Obama's secret weapons, the same ones that Obama had. And so I think that there is a way to counter the narrative in Florida that is not being taken advantage of.
So They're going to take care of it for him. We got that, Joe. Don't worry about it. You go back to sleeping in your bunker. Don't worry. CNN's got your back. CNN got your back. Looking at our chat board already. Yes, Paul, this is my my gun Christmas tree. It was cold down here, so I had to run upstairs and grab a sweater or a sweatshirt. And of course, I love this one. A young lady from, I believe she lives in Waterbury, made this for me. Her name's Andrea something, from Waterbury. Made this and a couple others for me. So, and I love it. So, but Mr. Hanson, welcome. Yeah, but again, I guess Craig, you probably came in late. You probably didn't miss the first part of what I was talking about. And I was saying that I had no problem with CNN doing what they want here. Just don't do it under the disguise of objectivity. Sean Hannity, everybody knows, is an opinion and not the news. He's not a journalist. And he's very clear about that. So again, if CNN wants to do that and go down that route, by all means, go ahead and do so. If that's what your customers want. Listen, you're looking to make a profit. So I will find out her name, and I will get it, because she does a great job. But again, doing it under the disguise of objectivity is where I have an issue. Thank you, Isabel. Look at that. See, she's quick like that. But, so again, if you want to do it, fine. Just don't do it under objectivity. Just sit there and say, hey, I slant left. We hate Donald Trump. It's fine. I get it. I don't care. But to sit there and try to hold his water and do his job for him, no. No, and that's why you're not the trusted name in news, CNN. Sorry. And another reason why Donald Trump calls you fake news, because you are. So that's never going to change. So, but I think the bigger problem we have here in America right now, and we talked about it briefly a couple weeks ago, because one of our listeners sent an email about the monetary reset. And we talked about monetary reset. And just to give everyone a quick understanding of what monetary reset is, the world currency currently is the US dollar. So everything you purchase on an international stage is done so in American dollars. Whether you're talking about oil, gold, silver, copper, all that stuff. And what a monetary reset is when another country overtakes America and they become the world standard. And I talked about how China in 10 years can be that country that overtakes us. That's a real life possibility. And the stats I pulled this week, I have to revise my prediction of 10 years. It could be 5 when this happens. And it's because, again, we're spending money, 1, that we don't have, 2, that we can't afford, and 3, that is just going to do absolutely nothing to help us get out of the problem that we're having. But why are we doing it? We're doing it because it buys votes. That's it. They don't look long-term. Listen, there's one thing that you have to understand about politicians, and whether it's a federal level or your local level, 90% of your politicians do not think long-term. They do not. They care about here and now and how am I going to get votes for the next election. That's all they care about. And they will do whatever it takes to get those votes. So the first slide I'm going to put up here is the U.S. national debt. And I found a funny one because I like that debt out of the wazoo. So that was added in there. So you're welcome. Because what that doesn't show you is the latest stimulus package. So if you look at every year from 2012 to 2020, and you'll see where the debt ceiling has, and then they'll up it, and they'll up it, and they'll up it again. So we started making some decent progress in about 2016 through 2017. It slowed down a little bit. That's because, and then, well, you see it dipped, and that's because of the tax bill. And then it started going up, and it started going back down again. And then it shot up on the first stimulus bill that Trump passed. Now, now, again, these numbers are based on the end of 2020. Now, if you were to say, if we kept all of the Trump, when we did the $1.7 trillion under Donald Trump, he was keeping policies in play that would have limited how much it hurt us. And those are things, so when we talk about what the effects are going into the future, it's because of some of the things that were rolled back that Trump had in place. One would have to be some tariffs, and two is government spending. So you got $25.06 trillion is what our national debt was at the end of 2020. Right now, we're sitting at $27 trillion. $27 trillion. So most people will tell you, well, it doesn't matter because it's only a debt and it's, every other country is doing it. But they're not. They're not doing that. And just because other countries are doing it doesn't mean it's right for us to do. We are the world standard when it comes to monetary. And when China sees charts like this, they get very excited because China, and you heard Trump talk about it well before 2015 when he came walking down. He's been talking about this since the 80s. If you go back and look at the Donald Trump interview that he did with Oprah on the Oprah show, he was talking about how China does one thing very well. They manipulate their money. They're very, very good at it. And when I talk about manipulating their money, is that they make it look like it's more valuable than what it is. Now, the problem is when you have us at $27 trillion, and they own a lot of that debt through treasury bonds, bad things can happen. Because one, they could call on it when it's due, or two, they can manipulate their money and make it look like it's more valuable than ours. See, now, the United States, we don't manipulate our money in the sense that they do. We do with quantitative easing, but we're not going to even get into that tonight. we could have a whole other show on quantitative easing 1, 2, 3, and 4. But if you guys want, we could do that in the future. So, the next slide I'm going to show you guys is from 1980 and from 2000, 2010, when we had the financial crisis. And I'm gonna again, Craig, I have your gift certificate. So, and Paul, I have yours. So I'm going to give one more out, a $50 gift certificate to either Casa Romana, Wise Guys, Iliano's, and I have one more, Downtown Coffee Shop. So for the first person that could put in the chat, when was the last time the United States had a surplus? A year-end surplus. When was the last year that happened? And don't Google it. If you know it, let me know. And put it in there. So what year was it? I'll tell you, it was in the 2000s. So you could go from there. Okay, so when was the last year the United States ended the year with a surplus, with a budget surplus? Okay. So this slide you're looking at here is the U.S. money supply. It's called the M1 money supply chart. And this one was from the latest one I could find, was from 2020, from December 2020. And you can see in 2010, we had, well, it started at 2009 when we had the financial crisis. That was the housing bubble. Craig, Clinton did have one thanks to Republicans in 1994. But what was the last year the United States had one? It was in the 2000s. So you'll see with the start, no, not 2016. The financial crisis, we jacked it up, and that's when the issue started. That's when we started really spending money, and that's also when the financial crisis, that also includes universal health care. Or, oh, for some reason my mic had muted off there for a second. So, if you look at the financial crisis of 2009, where you see the funds start coming up, and that also includes Obamacare. So you're also going to see those numbers featured in. And then you have 2016, and then you have the crisis. So that's our national debt. If you look at it from that green line to the red line, that's all in COVID. That is $2.86 trillion in a matter of less than a year. That is unsustainable. And they're not done. They still have a $2 trillion infrastructure bill coming. And they also want to do another stimulus. So you're talking another $4 trillion. Now, again, when you insert this amount of money into the system, you're going to have a shock. And 2016 is not the answer. So you're going to have a shock to the system. And what happens when you insert that much money with no way to repay it? You get what's called inflation. And what's coming our way is superinflation. And we haven't seen that since 1970. Linda, which one, Linda? You got to let me know which one. So, we're going to have to deal with superinflation. And anyone who was around in the 1970s knows what happens. Rationing. We are going to have shortages in a lot of different areas. And we're going to go over some of them. Because I've been getting a lot of comments and a lot of questions on why are things so expensive. Now, I couldn't go through all of them, so I apologize. So I picked the ones... So I picked the ones that I think are most important, because I picked the ones that have to do with housing, because those are the ones that are really affected the most. So everyone's been complaining. I've been seeing all these emails and these things online, whether it's TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, about the prices of lumber. And there's a reason for it. One, during the pandemic, a lot of the mills were closed. Isabel, absolutely correct. 2001 was the last time that we had a budget surplus. So you can pick, Isabel, whatever you want, and I'll get you your gift certificate. So this is the big one, because this is the one that everyone's complaining about, seeing plywood and everything going from $30 all the way up to 2x4s. And this is mostly for this chart here is for 2x4s mostly, because it's for framing lumber. And this is their the random lengths, and this is from the chart from Lance Lambert, so I give credit where it is. And you'll see from 2000 when they shut down, originally shut down, you saw the increase go up, and then you saw it go down at the end of December. And that's when they went back online. Now you're seeing it go up again. And it's not because they're down. They're up. They're up and running. But the problem is, it's so damn expensive now. Because the dollar isn't worth as much as it used to be. Remember, money is just like any other commodity. When there's an overabundance of it, it's worth less. Anyone who knows supply and demand economics, when there's less of something, it makes it worth more. So when you're going to throw that much money into the system, everything has no place to go but up. So what does that mean? That means you might have more money, but all the products you're buying are more expensive. So now you're going to have an infrastructure bill coming out that they want to spend $2 trillion on now. And they're saying, okay, well, these are the projects that we want to do. But the problem is, when they made that bill, prices weren't that high. Now when they go to try to do these, they're all going to be way over budget because supplies and materials are going to be that much more expensive. They're talking about wanting to do roads and bridges. How can you do roads and bridges? Let me show you what the crude oil is. There's your crude oil. So I don't know if you guys can see my marker here. Here is election day. Right there. That is election day. Yeah, you guys can't see my but if you sit there, you can see it as clear as day. November 6th. That's election day. And the day after election day, when he first turned around and Biden turned around. So that's election day, November 6th. Well, it's November 8th, but November 6th was the last time it was done. And from there, the next day, Trump said that he was canceling. Biden said he was canceling the Keystone Pipeline. And all the things fell from there. And you see where oil went. Oil's all the way up. Do you know what is one of the biggest components made with oil? One of the biggest materials made with oil is asphalt. Asphalt. Oil is needed to produce asphalt. And that price is nowhere close to finish going up. Anyone who has heating oil, your gas pump, go look at the gas pump. Gas pump has been going up, it's up 9%. 9% in just 2 weeks. How crazy is that? And it's still going up. There is no end in sight. So if anyone thinks that $2 trillion is going to fix all of our infrastructure problems, it's not. Because it's going to cost us a ton more. It's going to cost you. You're not getting a raise. But you're going to see inflation. This is just a tip of the iceberg. And I'm showing you these three. Because I'm going to show you one more. And that's copper. And most people go, oh, Joe, why you care about copper? Copper is another one of those things that is highly used in almost everything you buy. Whether it's telecommunications, whether it's your home, whether it's your business, copper, or in your electronics, copper is used. And I'm going to show you the quick copper. So that's copper. And that's just over the last year where copper has gone. It's doubled. It's doubled. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not trying to scare you. not trying to scare you, but these are the things you need to worry about now. Because these are vital to getting under control before it's too late. Andrea, nice to see you. And yes, this is your wonderful, let me throw it up here. Your wonderful shirts. I love it. So I think it's the greatest thing I got. There we go. Did a wonderful job on all of them. But these are the things you need to understand, because there are many, many people out there that are looking for another stimulus check. They're looking for another stimulus check. Listen, we can't afford it. Can't afford it. Again, if you feel differently, give me a call, 203-679-9610, or email us at straighttalkjv@gmail.com. Yes, we are always expressing our constitutional rights here, and I'm looking forward to more purchases in the future. So, again, thank you. But you need to understand these basic building blocks of the economy. And again, most people unfortunately don't, because they don't think it applies to them. These are the things I look at. Just one, because I love economics and I love numbers, and it's what I used to do. So I mean, it's just something I'm used to. But we're going to see superinflation happen. These prices are not going to go down anytime soon. And if we have another $4 trillion that gets inserted into this economy, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to see it collapse. This is unsustainable. This level of spending is unsustainable. You think lumber's bad now. Just wait till you add $4 trillion into the mix. Copper. Crude oil. These are all building blocks of housing. These are all building blocks of electronics that we use on a daily basis. So, Linda, that's a great question. So how are other countries sustaining monthly payments to their citizens? Their money doesn't matter. Again, we're talking about the United States is in a unique position. The United States is in a unique position as we are the currency of the world. Our money matters. If you go to Canada, where I believe they were paying somewhere almost like $3,000 a month. But they ration things. Go when you have a moment after the show, not during my show. Go Google a Walmart Canada with a customer trying to buy something that the government doesn't deem essential. Oh, it's hilarious. But other countries' money does not matter as much as America's do. The U.S. dollar is the currency of the world. But again, with this superinflation now, if you put another $4 trillion in, you're going to see, again, inflation go up even more. And there's no amount of quantitative easing that you could do that's gonna solve that problem. But you're going to see China, and Linda, I think you were the one that asked the question about the monetary reset. China will take over as the dominant money currency in the world. And like I said 10 years ago, but if we keep the spending at this pace, it'll be 5. You must understand how the economy works, how the world works. Ladies and gentlemen, you cannot have this at $30 trillion and think that there's no consequences to it. There are consequences to everything America does, good or bad. Good or bad, everything America does means something. Other countries wish they could be in our shoes. I remember when we used to sit there and think it was the greatest thing in the world. I would love to get back to the gold standard, but that can never happen. We owe too much. There's not enough gold in the world. But at some point, the house of cards is going to collapse. Because that's all this is one big house of cards. And slowly but surely, we're taking bricks away. And while we're taking bricks away, we're adding more bricks on top. It's like a what's that game? Jenga, whatever it is, with the blocks. That's what we have going on. Do you think gas prices are high now? We're at $61. At least 61. See, I keep the oil one obviously on my thing. We're at almost $63 a barrel. Do you know what we were last November? About 40. That's money out of your pocket. That's money out of your pocket. Lumber. If you're in the construction business, or if you're looking to have something addition done to your house, you ain't doing that now. Unless you have a lot of disposable income, you can't do that now. All these things have effects that ripple throughout the economy, which is why I picked these to show you. Because again, crude oil has everything. You're going to see everything from roads to bridges. They're all going to sit there and put a lot of these companies out of business because they're not going to be able to afford to do. They're not going to be able to afford to do roads. They're not going to be able to afford to do as many roads. Lumber, the housing market. You know, you have all these big corporations that build houses. How much do you think a house is going to cost you? When you're paying what? $90 for one piece of particle board. For one piece. What do you think that's going to do to the housing market? Most construction companies are small businesses or family-run businesses. They're going to lose a ton of business. They're going to wipe out a lot of them. Again, copper. Now, luckily for telecommunications, copper is going to be a thing of the past. But there's still a lot of companies that still use it. All your electronics, silver and copper, is in most of your electronics. You already pay over $1,000 for an iPhone. What do you think's going to happen when you want to go get your new, what is it? Where are we on? iPhone 13 now? Friend of real estate. Yeah. But again, you know, when you sell your house, you have to go find another one. That is another reason why prices are going up so high. All these things ripple through our economy on a daily basis. And they all ripple into your pocketbook. That's basically where it all ends up. Costing you. But again, if you talk to politicians, they're going to say, oh, well, we're going to pay for all this stuff charging businesses and corporations who don't pay their fair share. Again, that's just politicians speak for, hey, don't look at us. We're not the bad guys. Go look over there. They're the bad guys. But those businesses are just passing that tax on to you. So, I mean, politicians are making their money. Corporations are making their money. And all the bad crap falls on one set of people. The middle class. Because the people on assistance, they're not worried about it. They don't pay taxes, one. And two, they get a check every month. So the states are just going to cry to Washington saying we need more money. So, of course, they're going to get more money and they're going to pass it on to them. But at the end of the day, someone still has to pay for this. And that's why, when Democrats are in control, you notice the middle class shrinks. Because they get stuck with all the taxes. Someone has to pay for it. The rich already know how to shield their money. I sit there and I laugh every time someone says, oh, we're going after the rich. The rich aren't rich because they're dummies. The rich move out of states because they have the ability to, that have high taxes. Rich people take their money out of country when they see a country that's trying to rob them. They have that ability. Do you know who doesn't have that ability? The working class. The middle class do not have that luxury of being able to move their money or move their families. So at the end of the day, it's the middle class that gets you-know-what up to you-know-what. But Sean hit it right on the head. Elections have consequences. I say that all the time. So then it brings me back to my same point I always make. What are you doing about it? What are you doing about it? We are less than 6 months away from elections. 6 months. Well, 6.5. What are you doing to make sure that your town, no matter what town you come from, no town or city you live in, what are you doing to making sure that you have people that are competent and looking out for your best interests? And I tell you what, I wouldn't be looking at career politicians. I would be looking at these people that are in office now. Especially if you're looking at some of these towns. You need to do your homework. I love the fact that a lot of you went and did your homework last week. I'm very excited about that. You guys went, did your homework, and if you had questions or you had doubts, you sat there and you sent them to me. I love that. I don't want you to take my word for it. I don't want you to take my word for it. I want you to take what I say and scrutinize every word of it and go look for yourself. And most of you are finding that it's dead on. That is your responsibility to make sure that your town and city has representatives, not leaders, representatives that are looking out for your best interest and not doing things that are going to put your community at risk. And anyone, and I wasn't even going to bring this up tonight. I was going to save it for Thursday. But they've gone, so Democrats now, the crazy liberals, so I won't say all Democrats, the crazy liberals have gone from now defund police to friggin' abolish police. And we're going to talk about that on Thursday. They have gone straight off the friggin' cliff when it comes to their dislike for the police departments of America under a false narrative. They now want to abolish the police department. And that's a congresswoman. That's coming from a congresswoman. But I'm going to save that video until Thursday. These are the people that now have the power to change things in America. These people own all the branches of government except for one, which is the Supreme Court. But as we talked about on Thursday, you already know they're working on that too. Because if they can't win fairly, what they do, we just change the friggin' rules. That's what they do. Because again, rules for radical is by any means necessary. But we're going to talk about that. You know, I was watching this clip with Geraldo and Dan Bonagino. And Geraldo talking like he's some kind of expert in policing when he's up against a Secret Service agent. They're talking about cross-drawing. And Geraldo got called out on it. And you're going to hear it. Because this is what's happening. And again, I really, we're just going to start the conversation now. Because now I'm already fired up about it. So you have a lot of these communities, including here in Meriden, who you have civilians who think they know what the fuck they're talking about when it comes to policing. They have not a friggin' clue on what they're talking about. So they were talking about cross-drawing. Now you could always tell when something stupid comes out of a liberal's mouth. And if you know anything about guns, you know cross-drawing is the dumbest thing you could ever think of if you're a police officer. For multiple reasons. One, if you're trying to cross-draw, that means coming across your body. So I'm left-handed. So me to do a cross-draw would come this way. Which means that my gun is now facing that way, the handle. So if I come this way and someone pushes my elbow, I can't pull my freaking gun out. And if they do tackle me to the ground, they have better access to my gun than I do. And when they do pull it out, it's pointing right at me. Now that could only come from a friggin' idiot who knows nothing about guns. Hence, a liberal, hence, Geraldo. But again, he is just a symptom of the problem because there are millions, well, I won't say millions, there are tens of thousands of idiots that think just like him. There are idiots in our representatives, that are representatives right now, and here in Meriden, we have a couple of far left-wing morons that are on our city council that think they know how to do a better job at making police rules than police officers, than trained professionals. And this is one of the things they were talking about implementing. If you let civilians tell police officers how to do their job, you're going to get police officers friggin' killed. But you know what the problem with that is? They don't give two shits because they don't care about the police. They see them as the enemy. They rather see police officers dying on the streets than gangbangers, drug dealers. You see it every time there's a freaking shooting. That's why the cities in America are so bad. That's why the cities of America, run by Democrats, are so bad. And again, if you watched the show on Thursday, you saw all these politicians up there saying, oh, these policies are violent against our community. Well, shit, you guys made them. You made them. You've owned this state for 30 years. You've done this to your own people. And now you're going to sit up here and talk like you had nothing to freaking do with it. That's a politician for you. That's a politician. When they can sit here and talk to you as if they've had no power, when they're the ones that did it to you, and they don't want to change it. They're going to sit up there and talk about it. They don't want to change it. Because maybe you'll wake up and say, hey, you know what? Maybe they don't have my best interests at heart. They don't want you getting on your feet. Because if you become self-reliant, you don't need them. And what do I always say? What's the one thing liberals need? They need a permanent underclass. And what we saw over the last year with the election that just passed, Donald Trump got more black, more Hispanic, and more Asian support as a Republican than ever before. That scares the shit out of every liberal in Washington and in Hartford. Which is why, again, they need a permanent underclass. Which is why they want illegal immigration. They want illegal immigration because of that. Because they need a new underclass. Because those people, because Black America, Asian America, and Hispanic America are waking up and saying, no, this isn't working. Because again, you could offer every illegal immigrant asylum on the condition that they can't vote, and every Democrat in Washington will go against it. So ask yourself why. If it's not about the people, and it's not about votes, so if it's not about votes, then they should have no problem saying, okay, we'll give amnesty, but no voting rights for 10, 20 years. And every Democrat will say no every single time. Just like they want felons to vote again. They want incarcerated people to be able to vote. If you're listening and your ears are open and your eyes are open and you're doing your research and you're online, you're going to see all this stuff. They're like little pieces of the puzzle that you just have to put together. And I do my best every week to sit there and try to put those puzzles in place for you, hoping that you're going to go finish the puzzle. I can show you the water. I can't make you drink it. But I'm hoping that you follow me to that water. You say, that looks delicious. I want to drink from it. But I'm not quite sure. Let me go check here, here, and here just to verify. And then drink the water. And then don't only drink the water, take a bucket of it back to your friends and give it to them. And if everybody does that, this country has hope. And I'm only just one person. I'm sure there's plenty of other people out there that are doing the same thing that we're doing here right now. At least I hope so. We can't do it ourselves. I need every one of your help. If we each tell 10 people, if we each just express 10 people, just let them know what's going on. And then they go and share that, and they share it, and everyone else shares it. We can make a difference. Start in your own town. Start wherever you live. Start there. Get involved in the community. It's so extremely important to be involved in what's going on in your government. Now, like I said before, I have a new setup here, as you guys can probably see. New microphone again, another one. This is my third one in less than a month. So this allows me this microphone here, and I have a couple others because this beautiful piece of equipment here is my Rodecaster, and this allows me to go remote to different places and still be able to do a podcast and still be able to stream the video. So we'll be using this a couple times over the next couple weeks. One, we have we're going to test it out on the Meriden Republican Town Committee. We're gonna get that virtual so that everybody can watch it. And again, that's where it starts. Get involved in your RTCs. And listen, if you're a Democrat, go to your Democrat Town Committee. If you're a Republican, go to your Republican one. I don't care which one it is. Just get involved. So we're gonna test this out on Wednesday. So we'll do a. It's not gonna be a straight talk. It's gonna be on the Meriden Republican Town Committee website, and I think they have a YouTube page. If not, we will by time Wednesday comes, because some people just don't use Facebook. So it'll be on the YouTube page also. And if not, I'll throw it on my YouTube page, my personal one, Joseph Vollano. But also, on the 28th of April, for all you people that are listening here in Meriden, we will be doing a live broadcast on, again, April 28th. Just to make sure I have the time correct so I don't get yelled at. So Wednesday, April 28th at 7 p.m. It's going to be, again, on the Meriden RTC Facebook, and we're also going to have it on the YouTube also. I am honored enough I'm going to moderate a coffee with City Council. So it's going to give the residents an opportunity not only to ask questions to their city representatives, but to actually get answers back. If you want to have a conversation with your city councilor, this is the opportunity to do it. This is the opportunity to join us and ask your questions. About a week before the event, I'm going to open up an email so you can email me questions. As moderator, I'll pick and choose the questions that are asked. And they're not going to be easy questions. I won't wear my pink tie. It's going to be bow tie. It's going to be a bow tie. So you're going to have an opportunity to actually ask questions, but get answers. How many times do we talk about being so frustrated about going to these public events where you ask questions and then they sit there and look at you and they don't respond to you? Oh, nothing irritates me more than when that happens. Your representatives are there to answer you, the people who they work for. Imagine being able to go up to your boss and say, hey, I have a problem here. Or going up to one of your, well, let me reverse that. you're the boss going up to one of your employees saying, hey, what about this, this, and this, and then just turn around and just looking at you and saying, I don't have to answer to you. That's crazy, right? Well, now we have an opportunity to come and talk to your representatives and learn about what's going on. Learn about what's going on. We have a big budget coming up. New Britain just came out today. New Britain, of all places, I'm not a big fan of Aaron Stewart. There's no love lost between us. That's fine. But she could turn around and got a lower tax bill for her residents. They're getting a tax cut in New Britain this year. Imagine that. Meriden, they're going up $5 million. And they got $21 million. It just shows you where priorities are. A Republican, Aaron Stewart, some quasi-Republican. I'm not going to go too crazy. She's a rhino. Let's just put it that way. I'll leave it at that. But she's doing the right thing and giving the money back to where it belongs. And that's to the people. Where Democrats here on the city council are saying, screw you, little person. We're taking that money and we're going to use it for dumb shit. And then when you ask us about it, we're just going to freaking ignore you. Don't talk to us, you peasant. Well, now you have your opportunity to sit there and not only express your views and your concerns, but actually get answers on them. So, like I said, that will happen on April 28th at 7 o'clock. Again, I will be moderating it, and I will be putting it on Facebook, YouTube, all the great places. And even Straight Talk will be streaming that one. So, these are the kind of events that are very important. I don't only plan on doing that one. I'm going to reach out to some of these other towns too. I'm hoping a lot of these towns will have them. And if you want one done in your town, by all means, let me know and I'll reach out. Because this only works if we get involved. And if there's enough people that want to hear from their representatives, we'll try to make that happen. So again, Thursday we'll have a jam-packed show. We're going to go through this, not defunding, but abolishing the police department in great, great detail. And we're going to go through all the numbers of the bullshit that they are trying to throw at the American people, thinking that there are police officers on a rampage shooting unarmed or Hispanic or black or white Americans. It's just an absolute fallacy, and there's no proof, facts, stats to back it up. None. But until then, concentrate on your influence, your circle. Your influence, your circle of influence is what matters. Do what you need to do to make sure you're taking them to that river to show them where the water is. And again, don't push them in. Just let them do the research for themselves and let them drink. But as always, I love everyone out there. I can't thank you enough for joining us. I really enjoy doing these. I just hope they're entertaining and insightful for you. And we'll keep doing them. Like I said, we got a lot of exciting stuff coming up. There's more stuff coming up. So, as always, guys, love you. God bless you. And God bless this amazing country of ours. Do not take it for granted. Do not sit there and stay on the sidelines while it's getting taken into the gutter. I love you. God bless you. And I will see you all on Thursday night. Thanks.